Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Hate2Pylon. I am CJ Thompson alongside my co-host, Jonathan Edwards. And I hate to say it, but we're on the dark side today. We are talking about DBs. Last week, we had the greatest episode in history that we'll ever have. We talked about the offensive linemen. Well, not we'll ever have, but I mean, whenever you're talking about the O linemen, the hogs, the big guys up front, don't call us teddy bears. But,
don't do it.
We had a good week last week, but now we're on the dark side. We're talking about these chirpy guys. We're talking about these little skinny, scrawny guys. So not all of them, but we're talking about DBs today, and we got some really good segments for you guys today. But the first question I want to start off with is, where does the best DBs come from?
So you're asking me who DBU is?
Correct.
That is an excellent question, CJ. And obviously there's a couple of contenders. You know, you got Miami has been saying they're DBU for years, even though we just talked about this. They haven't really had any DBs besides Sean Taylor and Ed Reed.
Mm-hmm.
And two people does not a U make. So Miami, not in my DBU conversation. Florida, staying in the same state, closer, but I'm not overly impressed with them. They got Joe Hayden, Vernon Hargreaves, kind of a bust. Keanu Neal for the Falcons, he's a little bit better than they expected him to be, but not too much star power. More misses than hits, as far as I'm concerned. Florida State, closer. You got Derwin James. You got Ronald Darby. You got some other good players. Florida State, and obviously Dion going back in the day. They got some star power. They got a good amount of people in the league. So they got quantity and quality. They're in my conversation, but I'm not going with them. Now, if you just say which state, you got three colleges in that one state. So Florida is a DB state,
For sure.
but not DBU. Now, my three contenders, I got Louisiana State Tigers, LSU. I got Alabama, Roll Tide, and Ohio State Buckeyes. Those are the top three colleges as far as I'm concerned, contending for the title of DBU. And I'm going to go ahead and give it to LSU. You got Patrick Peterson. You got Tre'Davious White. You got Jamal Adams. You got Panthers legend, rising legend, Dante Jackson, future number one corner in the NFL. You got a lot of players. You got a lot of talent. It seems like LSU DBs consistently make the NFL, and not just make it, but they make an impact on their teams. Whereas Alabama, I feel like they put a lot of players in the NFL too, but they're not always starters. Sometimes they're just like depth options. I feel like LSU got a little bit more quality and better quantity. So I'm going to go with LSU. Ohio State is a close second. I got Bama third, but I'm going with LSU for DBU, CJ. But that's my opinion. What are your thoughts on DBU?
Go Tigers. Yes, that is, what you expect me to say. But no, I'm not going to go with the LSU Tigers, even though LSU does have a hot hand currently with producing some studs in the NFL. I can't even cap with you whatsoever. But I have to go with Ohio State. So Ohio State has been producing some really top-notch corners. Most recently, Denzel Ward, who's been pretty good, especially in man coverage for the Cleveland Browns, even though the Browns smell like shit. They play like shit. But we'll see what happens this year. New head coach again, new system again. You see what I'm doing there? Again. But
every other year.
Every other year seems like they have a new coaching staff. But Ohio State just has something about these guys that they have. They just are like lockdown corners that they have coming out here. I'm just going to name off a couple names, notably from Ohio State. We got Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, Eli Apple of your Carolina Panthers.
Also a Panthers rising legend.
Malcolm Jenkins. These are just like for just the name off the top of my head. But I mean, Denzel Ward's a young guy who's really going to carry the flag. I think Ohio State definitely got some more guys coming out this year. I don't have their names off the top of my head.
Jeff Okudah, Damon Arnett.
Jeff Okudah, there you go. Perfect. And Jeff Okudah just got drafted by the
Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions, which I think he's gonna pretty much be the Darius Slay. Darius Slay is not with he got traded.
They traded him to the Eagles.
So he's going to be that lockdown corner that hopefully that saves Matt Patricia's job this year. That he can show some kind of signs of a life on the defensive side, especially when you hire a guy who is a defensive coordinator. He's supposed to be a defensive specialist, but his defense wasn't special this past year. Hopefully with Matt Stafford with the healed back and a better offense can do some damage this year. They got some playmakers on that side. But anyways, go back into the defensive backs. Ohio State has produced some really stellar man-to-man corners who just have elite ability. For me, it was a tough neck and neck for LSU and Ohio State. They both have been producing some heat, some talent, and I think it's just the flavor. I just like the way a lot of these Ohio State corners play and defensive backs. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins is a guy who was really good.
He's washed now.
He's declining now, but he still has a presence on the field. He still can knock your socks off.
Can he though?
Maybe. He's a good locker room leader. He still has he's had longevity in the league, which I think is very important as well.
It is.
Important thing we were talking about before we went on air is that what makes a place a factory, because you can bring talent to the league, Alabama, but what are they going to do inside the league? I feel like Alabama lives that Benjamin Button's life, right? So they live a life where, they're already at an NFL level once they kind of get to college because of how their practices, how their organization is run, top of the line facilities that rival NFL facilities. And, they got to grow up fast. They are hard-nosed, regimented. You see all this, these women throwing at them money under the table, of course, throwing at them at Alabama. It's like,
allegedly.
They already, allegedly, of course, NCAA don't come for us. We done everything by the book. They have that fast-track life. And I feel like sometimes by the time they get to the NFL, they're kind of like already seasoned vets. They're like into their second contract, but really it's just their first contract. And you might see them a little bit more banged up coming into the league with some nagging injuries they kind of pushed on to the NFL. Kind of like I would say compared to the running backs that came out of Alabama. People consider Alabama as one of the running back U's, so to speak, but there's some running backs once they get to the league, they quite hasn't produced as most expected, but they do.
Eddie Lacy.
Exactly. Eddie Lacy's the big one.
Trent Richardson is the big one.
Yes.
Eddie Lacy's the big one.
Yes.
That man loves his China food.
And cheese.
Oh, who can blame him? Who can blame him?
That's true. But, I mean, you also do got some studs. Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram still doing it. TJ Yeldon had a little bit. He had some splash, but wasn't,
Kenyon Drake, potentially. He showed off some stuff last year. Let's see if he can keep it up.
So they got guys. So it's like they're still pumping them out. So I can definitely consider them, the U. Which I think once we do, we should.
Does Alvin Kamara count for Alabama or no?
Wait,
He transferred from Alabama
to what school did he go to?
Tennessee. He was there with Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, and they had a third running back ahead of him.
That's a tough one. I mean, you could say yes because he recruited them, but he just didn't graduate or get drafted by them.
I think he was there for 2 years. For 2 years, I think.
2 years out of what? He was only in the league. I mean, in college for 3, right?
He might have been at Tennessee for 2. I think he was 2 and 2.
Ooh, that's a toss up right there. Yes, we'll give it that. We'll give him. He was in the tutelage underneath that room for a year. You know, I mean, that's the same thing. Could you consider Joe Burrow a Ohio State guy? You have to because he was there for 3 years, right?
Yeah, he was.
So, yeah, I mean, Alabama's definitely one of running back use. Georgia for sure is
he was only at Alabama for a year. I lied. So he's not an Alabama guy.
Yeah, he's not a bad
Alabama for a year, community college for a year, then Tennessee.
Okay.
For 2 years. So,
but yeah,
not a Bama guy.
Not a Bama guy.
But he was at Bama.
He was at Bama, but not long enough to be considered a Bama guy. I would say the requirement, we'll set this right now, because I think later down the road, we will do a U for college football episode to rank all the top schools for position by position. We'll say you need to be at a school for at least 2.5 years, because that will give you majority, no matter if you transfer or not, at the university. Because most guys are some guys are 5-year guys, so that gives us that graduate senior guy to be stamped both, or at least be stamped Alabama. But then I guess we have to figure out. So it's if a guy was somewhere for 3 years, but then finished the last 2 years, graduated from like say LSU, then does that make him an LSU guy or makes him a previous school guy? That's also a big question. But we'll answer that question
when we get there
later down the road. So that means you guys got to keep coming back and watching. And you guys have to, come mess with us a little bit more.
Let us know if you agree, disagree, or just hate it. The idea of people counting for either school.
But yeah, that is all for the DBU. And we're going to be moving on to the next topic.
Wait, so for the record, DBU for me, LSU, DBU for you, Ohio State.
The Ohio State University.
I said Ohio State. So yeah, 1 and 2. I think we both had them 1 and 2. So, and they're close. So I don't hate either way. Next, what we got going next, CJ? Let them know.
All right, what we got up next is, of course, if you've been following the show, we love lists. So we're going to rank the top 3 defensive backs in the NFL, which is really hard to do. But you got one corner on one side, you got another corner on the other side, and you got a safety over the top, single high safety. That's what we're going to do right now. Not exactly that format, but we're ranking our top 3 DBs that we like in NFL currently. And I'm going to start it off because, I got a guy in mind who's going to be my number. I'm starting with number 1 cornerback because when I draft my team, he is the guy that I want. He is the top guy that I want on my team. And I'm going with.
I'm not trying to have you out here looking down.
Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots. It's okay to hate on the Patriots. It's
not anymore. Not with Cam Newton as our quarterback. Don't hate on my Patriots.
Which I'm hearing they might do a platoon quarterback thing. I don't know.
Man, that's fake news. Don't believe the fake news.
Pushing on. I heard Jarrett Stidham is balling. Jarrett Stidham for starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. Okay, I like that narrative. But continuing on, Stephon Gilmore, he is my number 1 corner. he has been proven to be locked down. You know, he's just been great. He's just been the guy for the Patriots. He's been a savior, you can say, for that defense. Even though the defense has been, it's been good. It's been their last season was definitely the strong point for the Patriots because Tom Brady wasn't the GOAT as we know him to be. We're in the new stages of GOAT that he's at. He's Billy. Billy is a name that you get to old people. Hey, Billy Goat. He's the Billy Goat right now. And now he's just like what old people do, retiring in Florida.
And moving to Florida.
Yep. And so, but Stephon Gilmore is just, I don't know. He's just great. He's great. I feel comfortable just leaving him at his devices. He plays well in the system. He does pretty good in run support, can knock the ball out. It's also something that you want to have in your corner. You don't want a timid corner who's just going to talk trash, but as soon as it's not a pass play, you're just going to run away from the ball. I want someone who's going to go up there and make tackles. And, he was one of the centerpieces for that defensive backfield for the Patriots this past season. So, Jonathan, I'm going to pass it to you.
All right. I'm going to agree with you there. Stephon Gilmore is also my number one DB in the league, putting on for the state of South Carolina.
USC.
Grew up in Rock Hill, South Carolina, so on the border of North Carolina, South Carolina. Attended the University of South Carolina. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he was roommates with Alshon Jeffrey and Jadeveon Clowney also. So they just had a stacked team at one point.
Not a lot.
Long time ago. Definitely not anymore. But yeah, putting on for the state of South Carolina. CJ said as much as you can say about him. Well, not as much as you can say about him, but as much as we're going to say about him today.
Yeah.
He's elite. Man coverage, zone coverage, run support. He does it all. So yeah, CJ's number one, my number one. And then for my number two DB, the thing about combining DBs, corners, and safeties is it's hard to match them up. So I do have a safety on my list, but he's number 3. I agree with CJ. The way you want to build your team is starting with the corners. So we got one lockdown corner, Stephon Gilmore. I'm going to go with another, Tre'Davious White of the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Just a stud. He's a dog in man coverage. You can't get away from him. Sticky. He's on your hip. Run support. He's not coming up and smacking you, but he's coming up and making a secure tackle.
Kind of
not
sounds
a
like
big hitter,
a little bit,
but a good tackler. And you don't always need to be a big tackler. A big hitter, I should say. Yeah, he can do zone coverage as well, but man coverage is where he really makes his money. And yeah, Bill's got a good one. He's probably the second best corner in the league. He's definitely my second best corner in the league. I'd take him on my team any day. And hopefully his former LSU mate, Dante Jackson, can come close to the type of success Tre'Davious White is having with the Bills for my Panthers. CJ, who you got?
Okay, so our number 2s are definitely different. I have someone in mind, which honestly, my second corner he is a number 1 corner on any other team. But I mean, I'm gonna just say 1A and 1B because he's just that damn good. Athletic, length, a freak. Jalen Ramsey. He's young. He's going into his 5th year in the league, still on his rookie deal, so it's cheap. Not for long.
Not for long.
Not for long.
You want that money.
And Jalen Ramsey is just, he just has great technique playing the position of cornerback. He can get in and out of his breaks well. He he's very savvy in the position as a corner. I think also one thing that just bodes well for him is his length playing the position. And he knows how to shut people down. And, he's not afraid to talk, but he can also back it up. And that's, a big thing. And, because a lot of corners talk and chirp, but, next you know, you smell that? Burnt toast. You know what I'm saying? And so Jalen Ramsey backs it up. There's very few times you see, him, every corner is going to get beat, yes. But, it's about minimizing that, when you're playing man coverage, zone coverage. And he's just a freak, especially him going up against Julio Jones. That's just must-see TV. Two of the most elite corners, two of the most elite players in the NFL going head-to-head. You just love to see it. And, of course, him and Stephon Gilmore on each side of you, it's just like, who do you throw to? We're just going to have to run the ball, period. But that's who my number 2 corner on the side of Stephon Gilmore. Transitioning into my third DB, which will be a safety. I'm going with another young guy who's just he's gonna demand top dollar money. He's going to probably reset the market very, very soon. And that guy is Jamal Adams, formerly of the New York Jets, but now currently of the Seattle Seahawks. Will he be able to revitalize the Legion of Boom, or will it be a new name? But Jamal Adams is just a freak of a safety. He is what we call a Swiss Army knife. He can line up at defensive line, linebacker, safety. He can play coverage. He has snaps at all these different positions over the past season. He can do it all. He can get sacks for you. He can get interceptions. He can make big tackles in the run game. And that's what you want in a safety. You want someone who has enough speed to have range, but also who's not afraid to lay the wood down. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I know exactly what you're saying. Guy is a stud.
And that's a huge thing for safeties. And he is elite. He's only getting better. He's I think it's his third or fourth year in the league right now.
I think year 4,
which is insane. Of course, from your DBU, LSU. So
yes,
you love to see it. So now I'm going to kick it to you, Jonathan. Who do you got as your third DB?
All right. Well, it's only appropriate that you kick it to me, seeing as how my third DB was a kick returner in college.
Ooh.
Was also a kick returner in college, I should say.
Elite transition, baby.
That's what we do. You know how we do. One of the best players in college, when he was in college, played safety, corner, kick returner, punt returner, Heisman candidate, also from my DBU LSU, Tyrann Mathieu.
Ooh.
And I kind of cheated. I wanted to have a safety on my list, and I did go with one, but Tyrann Mathieu is basically a corner. He plays all over the defensive backfield. He lines up in the slot a lot, but he'll go out wide sometimes. He'll play free safety. He'll play strong safety. He'll play in the box. Dude just does everything. He is also a Swiss Army knife, as CJ chose with his third pick in Jamal Adams. But mine, I went a little more coverage prowess. Jamal Adams, not bad in coverage, but he's not Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, just a ball hawk, makes plays on the ball. He can cover slot receivers. He can take on tight ends, put him up free safety or line him up at free safety. He's shutting stuff down. Don't throw to his side of the field. Put him in the box. He's sniffing out screens. He's snuffing out slants. He's doing the dang thing, Just a stud.
He's a dog. Let's just say what it is. He's a dog.
He's a dog. I mean, he's a tiger, but he's a dog.
Yeah. And that's what you want.
That is what you want. So I think CJ and I both chose 2 lockdown corners, and then a safety with versatility, which is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 3 really good options. I think all 5 players that we listed, very good players. But let us know what you guys think. Who are your top 3 DBs? We are interested in hearing back from you.
Yeah, definitely. Submit them on Twitter. Your top 3 picks. Hit us on IG, and let us know for sure because defensive back is such a crazy position because versatility is important, but there's guys who are good guys who just do what their job is. Like corners such as Richard Sherman, who one just plays one side of the field and locks it down, for the most part. And so they got left corners and right corners who just plays that one side of the ball. So whoever comes over there, he's going to take care of it, But there's guys who follow, and that's always a big topic of debate. I personally believe that a great corner should be versatile, or DB should be versatile to be able to play inside and outside, left or right. I would say outside and inside for the most part. A lot of players. You got some guys who can do inside and outside. It's just a little bit different technique, especially playing the nickel and dime packages for your corners. But being that prime time outside corner, which I think is the upper echelon of corners, because your upper echelon of wide receivers are going to play the X position on offense. But of course, you do got the Julian Edelmans, the Cole Beasleys, the Trey Quinns, the Steve Sims Jr. You got the Curtis Samuel. Does he play inside?
He plays all over. He does everything.
The guys, the Wes Welkers of the OG, if you're an old school football fan, those guys who are inside playing in the slot, who can do damage for you over the middle, shorts, hit the sticks and get down. You want to have a good corner who can really just take over and be able to shut stuff down on those quick slants, especially. Because those are deadly. Because people can take those slants to the house, or
we can Michael Thomas
third downs, but I think a good corner, just in my opinion, is someone who can be versatile, not just a left and right side guy. But if you do what you are game plan to do very well, then I can't knock you because you do your job, and that's all you can expect of each player to do is to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
Final comments, Jonathan?
I don't have much. I think we did a pretty good job trying to rank our DBs. DB is a pick your flavor position. As you said, do you value one particular skill set, whether it's man coverage, zone coverage, run support, and a safety, or do you value a guy who can do a little bit of everything? Do you value a guy who can play inside, outside, or a guy who shuts down one side of the field? Do you value a safety who is really good in coverage but missed some tackles, a safety who doesn't miss a single tackle but he'll let some guys get behind him because he's a little slower? I personally prefer well-rounded corners and DBs, not just corners, guys who can do everything, but it's a little bit unreasonable to expect everybody to be good at everything.
Right.
So you want them to be at least capable of everything, but put them in a position that suits their strengths. So if you have a guy who's not the best tackler, but he can make tackles, but he's amazing in coverage, put him at free safety. Don't put him in the box. If you have a guy who's a stud in run support, but a little bit iffy with his coverage, put him at strong, line him up in the box. don't ask him to take on much coverage responsibilities. So I think it's obviously when you're building a team, you want guys who can do everything, but it's a coach's job to try to negate your weaknesses.
Right.
And if you're a strong safety who's asked to cover a wide receiver in the slot and you get burnt, it's not really your fault. That's the coaches for putting you in that position. But yeah, I think we did a pretty good job. We got a well-rounded secondaries for our little pick your three. We both got 2 shutdown corners and a safety who can do a little bit of everything. But yeah, that's all I got.
Whoa. All right, so next segment. We're talking about who is the most feared defensive back in the NFL. Who is that defensive back when you know they're on the field, when you know you see that team on the schedule, like, damn, I'm in for a tough matchup, or God, I hope he doesn't get me this goddamn game. In previous years, there's been guys like Cam Chancellor, who's a monster. Like, he's a freak. He was 6'3", safety, like, just cut, like, ding, 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 rock
chiseled.
Yes, and God, he's definitely one of the, was one of the most best safeties or strong safeties in the game. When he played, unfortunately, his career got cut short due to, I believe, a neck injury or concussions.
I think it was neck.
Neck, yeah. Which I'm glad he got out. Hopefully, he can restore his health. He can rest up and do it again to live a life past football.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the Legion of Boom, he was the boom in the Legion. You can have the Legion of everybody else, but he was the boom. Cam bought the boom. But that transitions me perfectly into my pick as for the new Seattle Seahawks safety, Jamal Adams, who I have as one of the most feared defensive backs currently right now. It's just from the point of he is a hard hitter, but he is a guy you can't go away from. You can't try to just, I'm just going to be on this side of the field. You can do that with Richard Sherman back in the day because he's only going to be on the left side or right side, But Jamal Adams lines up, as I said before, lines up everywhere. And so you never know where he's going to be at. If he's going to be on you, he's going to be on you like white on rice. Take it old school, you know what I'm saying? But I think as he keeps growing and gets better and better, the fact that he can literally travel with the tight ends, with the slot receivers, with the outside receivers, if needed be, with the running backs motioned out wide, that is, you can't get away from this guy. If he's just going to be that nagging gnat that you just get everywhere that just keeps coming up on you, like, that is something I think is, that's just something that's in, I don't know how to explain it, but like that is most feared for me because no matter what you do, no matter what you try to counter with, he's going to be there. So that's why I have Jamal Adams as my most feared defensive back in the league right now. Who do you got, Jonathan?
All right. Well, you mentioned Cam Chancellor as one of the most feared DBs in the last decade. And I fully agree with that. I think he was the most feared DB of the past, which is fitting because my most feared DB in the NFL is former Seahawks defensive coordinator Dan Quinn's Atlanta Falcon version of Cam Chancellor.
Okay.
I'm going with Keanu Neal. Young player. I think he's going into year 4 from the University of Florida. He will hit you and hit you hard. He's had a couple injuries the last 2 years, I think, which kind of slowed him down.
Yeah.
But his first year and a half or year or 2 before he got hurt, he was knocking the socks off anything coming across the middle of the field. Running backs getting smacked. Receivers getting smacked. Quarterbacks, if he gets you scrambling, you're getting smacked. Dude's just smacking everything. Huge hitter. Lays the wood. And I think that's just terrifying, especially if you are a slot receiver and you know you're going to be coming across the middle of the field all day on Sunday, and you know he's going to be there waiting for you on Sunday. It's got to be demoralizing.
Yeah, like I mean, that's a type of guy that like once you see like, dang, like that's on the he's on the radar, like he's on the schedule this game, like fuck, like damn it, like what are you gonna do? Like that's tough. That's really tough. But okay, that was a good, nice little Seattle tribute to Legion of Boom. Definitely one of the greatest. Well, yeah, it was definitely for me, the most recently greatest defensive back trio or tandem or group. Let's just say group because I mean it was multiple.
It was group. Yeah, because even Brandon Browner was a stud there for a couple of years.
What was the guy?
Byron Maxwell,
because he played at Fort Washington. Not Fort Washington.
Fort Dorchester. With Robert Quinn and Carlos Dunlap.
So, which is our ties, to the South Carolina High School Football Association,
And they somehow didn't win a state championship with those three guys. It doesn't make sense.
They definitely won a couple now. It's powerhouse right now.
Yeah. John Simpson went to Clemson, drafted by the Raiders, also from Fort Dorchester, won a state championship there with DeKerion Joyner at South Carolina.
What is that quarterback who what school did he go to? That quarterback who went to Fort Dorchester, like he graduated the same year RJ did.
DeKerion Joyner.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah.
What school he went to?
South Carolina.
Oh, did he? Oh.
Yeah, he got stuck behind Tyler Alinsky, though. He was playing some receiver last year. I don't know what he's going to be playing this year.
We'll see. Hopefully the Gamecock offense could be a little bit more dynamic. Their offense has always been one thing that's just not has been as explosive.
Yeah, he played a little bit of both last year. I don't know. He was a stud at quarterback. I wish he had went somewhere that would let him play quarterback.
Yeah. So in the ACC would have been cool.
Yeah. Well, Clemson recruited him, but he didn't. They told him he wouldn't play quarterback there. He wanted to play quarterback. So he went to South Carolina because they told him he would play quarterback, and now they have him playing receiver. So
maybe he needs to go to Last Chance U. And
maybe.
Speaking of Last Chance U, have you watched this past season?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay. I already watched it all, and I'm like, that's all right. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I need to.
It's a little different. I feel like it's not as the first couple seasons. Like even with what was the dude Brown?
Jason Brown.
Jason Brown. Like I feel like this season doesn't have as much pizzazz. But it's in Cali, Oakland, California, which is a cool vibe.
That's where Jason Brown's from.
It is, yeah, that's true. This coach is way more respected than Jason Brown, though. He's been in Oakland for all his career mostly, and he like even threw out that first pitch in a San Francisco game, I think. That was a good insight about San Francisco or Oakland because Oakland's considered the city or the Bay, or no, city versus the Bay kids, whatever. Because like them in San Francisco, like it's like a thing because now that the Warriors are leaving
the Bay.
Oakland to go to San Francisco or vice versa. One of them. I think they're leaving Oakland, just same as the Raiders are leaving Oakland. So it's just like, and now they talk heavily about oh my god, gentrification.
Gotcha.
A lot. So, but anyways, I was just kind of just talking your ear off there just now, but that leads me to talking about the next segment is who in the NFL is the best trash talker. Jonathan, do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I'm actually going to throw it back to kind of the last segment, sticking with the Legion of Boom I got one of the OG trash talkers, Richard Sherman.
Okay.
Guy will talk your ear off and shut you down while doing it, as long as you stay on the right side of the offense.
Yeah.
If you want to get away from his ear or his clamp, you better move to the left side of the offense, because you stay on that right side, he's got you. And he's going to let you know he's got you. When I think of him and his trash talk, I just think back to the post-game interview against the 49ers when he hijacked the mic and, if you ever try me with a sorry receiver like Michael Crabtree again, that's the result you're going to get. Yes. That's what made me a fan of him. I know a bunch of people hated him because he was a loudmouth. He's a jerk. He's arrogant. That's exactly what you want in a number one corner.
True.
He's getting a little older now. His feet are slowing down. I don't know if I'm assuming his mouth probably isn't. But as long as he's going to back that trash talk up, I'm going to say let him talk.
Yeah. Especially coming off the Achilles injury he had a couple years ago. It was a lot of talk about if he still can produce. And, him, big talking point as well was for him negotiating his own contract. Yeah. And now he reached a bunch of incentives this past year. I think it was about $10 million, was it? Or it was $1 million. I think it was $1 million incentive or something like that. But and he showed the receipts. I think on Twitter he posted all the receipts of people saying that Richard Sherman was trashed, was washed, and he showed them those. And I love that. I love when he got the receipts. He was waiting to say, okay, say less. I got you. And I love that. Richard Sherman I always looked at used to be as one of the greatest. When it was still Darrelle Revis in the league, he was him or Richard Sherman was a constant talk.
And Patrick Peterson was there.
And Patrick Peterson, yeah. Which hopefully Cardinals could do something this year. Which I'm hearing. I heard a report. Now I'm getting off track here, but I heard a report that they're saying that Kyler Murray looks to be more unstoppable than he was last year in practice, which is kind of scary because he put up some numbers, especially late last year. Hopefully they can keep up with
that's what happens when you give him Nuke.
Yeah. Nuke, and then another year in the offense to kind of really gel. The biggest thing about the people who kind of have a misconception of their offense, thinking it's a fast-paced offense, but their offense is a rhythm offense. It's a timing offense. It's all right, let's get in the rhythm. It's probably going to be a little up-tempo as well, but it's about building that confidence and rhythm of getting, all right, good slant, all right, let's get it moving. Good plays bouncing from here to here to get, to shift the defense a little bit so you can come back left or right. So I'm excited to see what Kyler Murray does. Wasn't a fan of Kyler Murray from the jump. I can admit that. And if Kyler Murray goes off this season, you'll see an apology or something from me later at the end of the season.
And you will see a big "I told you so" from me.
We'll see, though. We'll see what happens. I want to see all the Oklahoma quarterbacks do well because I think it'd just be better for the league.
No, not Baker. Baker
especially the most important Oklahoma quarterback that I want to see is Jalen Hurts. But, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a 95% chance you're going to see Jalen Hurts play at least 5 games this season because, Carson Wentz can't play a full season. I'm just
made of glass.
So, transitioning into my best talker, besides me, of course, I want to say Jalen Ramsey, my number 2 cornerback, that I have on my list from earlier. He is just, man, he can get in your head, but then he can back it up. He's an athletic freak. He's just different. He can stay in that hip pocket and disrupt plays, and he's going to let you know he disrupt plays. He went on a rant about saying which quarterback is good in the NFL. This quarterback is washed. I actually like this quarterback. He's good. And with someone with that bravado, ooh, big word, and
Like
the
it?
confidence.
SAT word?
Yes, sir. Someone with that confidence to be able to say that, especially that puts a target on you. Quarterbacks are going to go after you, but then knowing that even though he could talk that trash, quarterbacks might not go after him as often. They might give him a shot here and there, but he's not there. Marcus Peters was another corner I was thinking about going with, but I've seen Marcus Peters get burnt way too often this past season. I think he currently plays for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, he got burnt a lot with the Rams, but
Yeah.
he was way better after he got traded to the Ravens.
Which probably is a better scheme.
He might have been an All-Pro.
Was he?
I want to say
he has a name
team.
value now. I mean, him and Marlon
Humphrey.
Excuse me. I knew it was something. Marlon Humphreys and Marcus Peters is a nice 1-2 combo, and then you have Earl Thomas and who else is back there at safety? Jimmy Smith at Smithy, or
I think they're doing it now. It was Weddle, but I think Weddle might have retired.
Yeah, well, no, they released him before they got Earl Thomas. They traded for Earl Thomas to sign them.
Okay.
Yeah, because then I think Eric Weddle played for. He might have retired. I don't think he played for anybody else after that.
Yeah, I think he retired.
But Eric Weddle is actually one of those guys. I actually liked Eric Weddle coming out of Utah. I remember on draft day, I have this like very specific memory of just watching the combine videos, him doing like an insane standing jump on. I can't remember how tall it was, but they just tried to show like how athletic he was. And he had a great career in San Diego, and he was able to still do something in Baltimore until his career. Very hard hitter, just a good safety, just a solid good safety in this league. But yeah, back to Jalen Ramsey, very good talker, very passionate, someone who can really get in your head of the quarterback, the wide receiver, and back it up. And that's the biggest thing. Walk what you talk. Talk it like you walk it. Walk it like you talk it.
Mm-hmm. Walk it like it, talk it.
So I think that's what's very pivotal. But what he says and how he goes after quarterbacks, saying that this quarterback's trash, but you still back it up. That's what I love to see.
That's the thing with him. Like, his trash talk is not limited to just on the field during the game.
Exactly.
He will talk trash anyone, anytime. But on the field, I think he definitely kicks it up a notch. He is the only person I have ever seen make AJ Green angry. AJ Green is like the most relaxed person in the world. And he started fighting Jalen Ramsey when the Bengals played the Jags 2 years ago, or was it 3?
I think it would have been because he didn't play last year, so
2 years ago. I think
it had to be like at least 2. Because AJ Green,
but it was crazy. I've never seen AJ Green act like that. I don't think anybody has. AJ Green's like one of the most well-respected, cooler heads in the league, and Jalen Ramsey got to him, man. And that's the mark of a trash talker.
Yes, a great trash talker.
Honorable mention, I'm going to go with your boy, Josh Norman.
Yeah.
Josh got to Odell Beckham, had Odell Beckham trying to spear this man in the head.
Yeah. That was a good rivalry.
It was.
We'll see. Josh Norman signed with the Giants?
The Bills.
The Jets. The Bills. I knew it was in New York. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense with what's the head coach? McDermott. Sean McDermott. Who just recently signed Sean McDermott, who recently just signed a 6-year extension to remain the head coach with the Buffalo Bills, which is pretty cool. I think also Kyle Shanahan recently
he signed an extension too. I think him and John Lynch both got extensions.
Which, I mean, they're a good duo. John Lynch is doing a phenomenal job of building that team, building with good contracts, unlike the Los Angeles Rams, who pretty much in a year or so is going to be forced to rebuild and release everybody, including Jared Goff and probably Sean McVay, if not a good season. Depending on how much loyalty they have to Sean McVay and what they want to do. But like they just made terrible contract decisions, try to give everyone top money. And then when you realize you give everyone top money, you have no money to give the rest of the team or limited money to fill out the rest of your team, which now you have a trash team.
Well, see, their issue was they decided they wanted to bring in top talent. And the way they got that top talent was trading their first-round picks.
Yeah. They gave up 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey.
And now they have to pay Jalen Ramsey. So now you're paying Jalen Ramsey big money.
With what money, though? They have no money. Right.
Correct. And you don't have the cheap players on rookie deals because you traded picks for him. So they double screwed themselves.
They're going to have to blow it up pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, they traded a first-round pick for Marcus Peters.
And they traded away him. Well, did they get a first-round back from him? Oh, but I think they traded that first-round pick they got back for Jalen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. They traded for Aqib Talib and then traded him with a pick. What else did they do? They just made a bunch of questionable trades. Nowhere near Texans level, but I mean,
it's close.
Number 2.
It's close.
They're right behind them, but not as bad.
We'll see, though. I mean, with this next year or so, like, what are they going to do to be – because they're going to have to get young or they're going to have to get cheap, you know?
Yeah. And
Sean McVay's going to have to flex his superior offensive brain, coaching brain, Which, what's crazy, I won't say he's fallen from graces, but, like, the shine is not as bright on him anymore. And he started a whole last offseason, to be exact. Like, he influenced people to go young head coaches because of his success, his early success. I mean, I can't say that the contracts is his problem, or not his problem, but was his fault. Exactly, but now
he's the GM.
So now he's going to really have to flex his coaching muscle to get his team to keep it going, to show that he is still a young, on the rise head coach in the league. Same with Zach Taylor, who got head coaching job for the Bengals because of being associated with Sean McVay. Same with, Matt LaFleur. When you have Aaron Rodgers, it's not much you really got to do. You just can't fuck it up. But they're somehow almost there with upsetting him.
Drafting Jordan Love instead of a weapon.
Imagine somehow, some way, Jared Goff gets released, they clear the books, find a way to trade for Aaron Rodgers, which, they can't even do. They have no assets. They have assets. They can give him a receiver, Cooper Kupp, And then it's like, okay, Packers are going. This is exactly what the Packers are going to do. The Packers are going to. They're going to be like, all right, we're getting Cooper Kupp. We're getting this other wide receiver. Okay, these are decent guys. I like this. All right, Aaron, you're out of here. So you're going to finally get a wide receiver core, and then you're going to trade Aaron Rodgers out of here.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what's going to happen. But anyways, going to our last segment of the episode. I got on a crazy rant just now. Sometimes, when you're in the position of we only have one good corner, you kind of have to just leave them stranded. I'm talking Tom Hanks stranded. Well said. You know what I'm saying?
I do know.
And so what is let's start over. So sometimes you want to have a player that's going to be stranded on the island. So the question that I'm proposing is, who is that DB? More so, who is that corner that you are going to be left on the island? And this question is a tribute to Darrelle Revis, who was famous for Revis Island, who was one of the best man corners. You can leave him out there. He's going to shut any number one receiver down. Was great in New York. He played for, I want to say, the Patriots for a couple seasons.
The Bucks.
Yeah. He was originally the Bucks, then got traded to the Jets to get that big money, then to the Patriots again. Patriots, and I forgot where he finished up. But definitely one of the best corners to do it, especially, to have his own moniker, Revis Island. So the question is, who is the cornerback today in modern era that you're going to leave on the island and name this island after? And I'll start it off. And the guy that I'm choosing is Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore, he's by himself. He's gone. He has whatever he has at his devices, and he's going to strap down and lock down these wide receivers, any build or size, and I'm okay with it. And I can literally triple team, Julio Jones, anybody else, on the other side of him. But I know that, this wide receiver is going to be on the island. He's going to be by himself, and he's not going anywhere. There's nothing coming to him, period. There's no planes coming anytime soon, no direct flights. It's a one-way straight to hell, buddy. But Stephon Gilmore is he has the respect. I mean, he is my number one quarterback for a reason that I started off with. Of course, you can just leave him straight on the island. His man coverage skills is just, top notch. He's been pretty much doing that for the Patriots for the last couple of seasons as he just keeps getting better as a defensive back and being the real, pigeonholed for, the Patriots defense. That was, at first it was like rocky, but then solidified last season. And now the defense is going to have to be the identity for the Patriots this upcoming season depending on what happens at the quarterback situation for New England.
Cam VP.
Or Stiddies.
Studham season.
Studham season. But Stephon Gilmore is my obvious and easy choice to leave it on. Gilmore Island, baby. That's where we're at. Jonathan, who you going with? Where you flying?
I see you there with the Gilmore Island, kind of like a throwback to Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go someone we haven't really mentioned today. Okay. My number one choice to leave on an island is gonna be Patrick Peterson.
Oh, Patrick Peterson. I did think about him, but I just was like,
I mean, we've had several guys that we've talked about who are good options. Jalen Ramsey, Gilmore. My thing with Patrick Peterson is there's no established corner opposite him.
Yeah.
There's no Earl Thomas. There's no Devin McCourty behind him to help out if he does get beat. So it's usually just him literally on an island with the number one receiver when they play against teams. And most receivers don't really get the best of him. Calvin Johnson got him like once or twice. Julio's gotten him like once or twice. But for the most part, he holds it down. And he has to because, as I said, there's no second corner across from him. So their safeties on the Cardinals are cheating towards that second corner because it's usually somebody who's not good. So they know they have to help him.
Right.
So Patrick Peterson really is left on an island, and he's done really well. He had a bad season, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, before he was diagnosed with diabetes when he was like putting on weight, having some health issues, and he didn't know it was the problem. Then he got diagnosed with diabetes, and I think he got that taken care of. Not taken care of, but he got it under control.
Right.
And he's rounded right back into form the next year, locking people down. He's my choice to be left on an island because he is frequently, and he does it well. So that's my guy.
A player constantly left in confinement, solitary, and he thrives in it. And that's a smart choice.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. That's a very smart choice.
Peterson Island.
I feel like now he kind of gets left. Oh, he definitely got left out of our conversation today. He was one of the top corners in the league for a really long time, and he's still doing it. I feel like he just kind of got.
I think he lost like half a step. Like he's not. I think Gilmore overtook him, but he's still in that next like couple of corners. Like I'd have him in my top 5 still.
True.
I think he can still do it. So yeah, that's why I got him on my island. He's still really good, and someone who needs more love because he's somebody we forgot about earlier. So
that is true. We did forget about him. So, but yeah, Patrick Peterson's great. From LSU, originally, correct?
My DBU, correct.
From DBU from your side. Long corner, very good speed, good in man coverage. He had a nice little squad for a while, secondary with he had Tyrann Mathieu there. Didn't they have Buda Baker there for a little bit too?
Buda Baker is there, but he's like
DJ Swearinger was there for a little bit too. But I don't
DJ Swearinger was there for a year or two.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, I feel like he can play second fiddle sometimes because when you have a monster on your defensive line who's just like, you need to hide your kids and wife literally because he's a freaking freak, Chandler Jones, brothers of John Jones and Arthur Jones, just a freak of a family, all three incredible athletes. Arthur Jones is debatable, but, he was a good defensive lineman, defensive tackle for the Colts. Chandler Jones is just a freak. I think last training camp or 2 years ago, he broke the sled on just on an individual drill. Like,
got the heavy hands.
Exactly. But I wouldn't mess with him at all.
No, sure wouldn't.
But
especially not when he's off the synthetic weed. That's. Do you remember
that? For John Jones or for Chandler?
Chandler. He got arrested right before the Patriots traded him to the Cardinals, or let him walk in free agency to the Cardinals.
Just imagine if all the talent that the Patriots let walk. I think Jamie Collins is back. He's all right now.
No, he left again.
He left again?
Yeah. They traded him to the Browns the first time.
Right. He was about to ask for a big contract.
And he got the big contract from the Browns. Went back to kind of stunk with the Browns, went back to the Patriots, reestablished himself as a stud, and then left in free agency and went to the Lions to play with Matt Patricia.
Yeah. Who was it? Rob Ninkovich, I want to say? No. Van Noy. Van
Noy left. He just went to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They let Chandler Jones walk a couple years ago.
Imagine if all these guys.
That's what Bill Belichick does, though.
Yeah.
Like if you look
Chandler Jones had no right. He's still doing it. But he knows how to coach him up. Like it's.
Like when he got there, he cut like Rodney Harrison, didn't he?
I think so. Well, Rodney Harrison played because he won a Super Bowl with them.
He did win a Super Bowl with them. Who was it? He cut somebody like right when he got there. Then he cut Rodney Harrison. What's his name? He traded to the Raiders.
Jason Taylor play for?
I don't think so.
No.
Who's the defensive lineman he traded, or like linebacker, defensive end he traded to the Raiders?
Mike Vrabel?
No.
Teddy Bruschi.
Bruschi was still there. What's his name? He's on like NFL Network now.
Not Marcellus Wiley.
No.
Marcus Spears?
No. What's his name? Why can't I think right now? Richard Seymour.
Oh, yeah. Richard Seymour.
No, Richard Seymour or Willie McGinnis?
Stay out, maybe?
No, they did have Junior Seau for a little bit, but Willie McGinnis, that's who I was thinking of.
Willie McGinnis, yeah.
Richard Seymour, I think they got rid of too. Like, he just gets stars, uses them for a year or two, then lets them go. Like, he did the same thing with Revis. Revis was already an established star, but, I mean, they signed him for 2 years or a year, won a ring, and then let him go.
Then he went back to – did he go back to the Jets?
Yeah. Drafted by the Jets, played there for 5 years, signed with the Bucks, got a big deal. No, he was only with the Bucks for a year. They gave him the big contract. Cut him a year or two into the contract. Then he went to the Patriots. Was there for, I think, 2 years. Then went back to the Jets. But, yeah, I mean, that's just what Bill Belichick does. You are a cog, and he is the machine.
Very true.
But he's never had a Cam Newton, so Cam Newton's the machine now.
He'll get spit out next year. Jarrett Stidham season, baby. But on that note, that is everything that we have for you guys for this week's episode of Hate2Pylon. We were in the defensive backfield, and we did our thing. We intercepted the ball, and we're about to take it to the house. Definitely be on the lookout for a Bubble Talk. Bubble Talk is coming really soon. That's going to be a very fun video. We got a lot more in store for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're gearing up. There's so much sports going on. There's so many things going on. So we got to cover it all. But not today, for another day. So I've been CJ Thompson with my co-host, Jonathan Edwards. This has been Hate2Pylon. And yeah, have a good night, guys.
See you guys. Take it easy.